Hello, ladies. Okay, we got some tough love for you today. And even if you've already managed to get your phone out of your bedroom, I think that this will be some chizik for you. So I want to encourage you to listen anyway. And also, moms, I love you. I just want to say for a second, there's so many moms out there listening to this podcast and listening for yourselves and also passing this on to your daughters. And that's beautiful. I mean, like, look, what an amazing, amazing thing that is for learning to have a stronger marriage to be something that a mother and a daughter can be like growing in together. So that's a side point. I do really believe that there's no one size fits all marriage advice. There's no like, try my 3 tips and you'll have a connected and delightful marriage the rest of your life. Much more important is that a couple designs their own marriage, enjoys that creativity, that accountability, that freedom and power to create the marriage the way it works for them. And this is one piece of advice that almost always is good. So while I'm very hesitant to say you should always do this, I'm going to say on this one, you should 95% of the time do this, which is get your phone out of your bedroom. It's a no phone zone. A lot of people are careful about this at the dinner table. A lot of you ladies that have children are so conscious about this around your kids, whether you're doing it or not. And then once the kids are asleep, the phone can come out. What is happening right now? Your husband's the one that's there when the kids go to sleep. I mean, maybe not, but like if that's the time where the two of you could connect, but now that they're asleep, the phone can come out. Shalom bayis is a prerequisite for chinuch. So how could it be that the phone has to be away with the kids and then it can come out with the husband, right? I'm not saying I'm always perfect with this by any stretch, but let's just be really honest with ourselves about what we're doing. Okay. So I'm giving me some mussar. I'm giving you some mussar. Let's just go there. Why? I'm sure you've seen this advice before. I'm probably not the first person, although sometimes I'm really surprised to see that like this really is news to some people, but why is it so important? So, first of all, there's tons of mental health benefits for not having your phone in your bedroom. Looking at a screen like 60 to 90 minutes before bed. I think we actually had Lauren Allen mention this recently on a podcast, can really disrupt your sleep, even if you fall asleep quickly. Having constant socialization going on as we do whenever we're on our phone, there's a whole conversation that could be happening. It has been shown to have some impact on anxiety, social media for sure, right? Not giving yourself that quiet, that space just for yourself. That's one piece. But why do we say this specifically here? Because this is an opportunity to turn towards. This is an opportunity to connect with your husband. And bringing the phone in is like, you're sitting at a cafe instead of alone, cozy by yourselves on the couch, right? There's so much going on. There's so much else available. There's so much else that can interrupt you. But I want to talk today not just about the concept, but about why it's hard. Why don't people just do that? The number one thing that I hear is it's my alarm clock. Okay. I'll give it to you. Phones make better alarm clocks than actual alarm clocks. I think so. Except that they're also phones. And so we're just going to have to take the hit on this one. Look, the phone will beat anything else for convenience every single time. So if convenience is for you the end all be all, it beats everything else, it trumps every other value, then you're going to have a phone for an alarm clock. But if you're willing to say, it's really convenient, it's harder for me to use a traditional alarm clock. I mean, maybe you can find a really great one. They have some crazy ones out there. But if it's harder for you to use a traditional alarm clock, and I'm willing to do it anyway, that's a profound statement, even just to be making to yourself about your relationship and your marriage and your values. So we want to just catch ourselves when we just automatically default to, but it's so much more convenient. It works better for me. That's not the end all be all. That's not the most important thing. So yeah, it might be less convenient to use a traditional alarm clock. I think you should do it anyway. Another reason it's hard, easy access socialization. And I should put socialization into air quotes because it's not real social time. It's not really filling that bucket in a meaningful, like, nutritious way. It's kind of like junk food socialization. It's really easy to access. It's cheap and, it's not terribly filling, but it doesn't really require you putting yourself out there. If you have social media on your phone or even like WhatsApp, which technically is social media, whatever, then you can just have these little chats that don't really require any level of vulnerability. They don't require you putting yourself out there. They don't really require you feeling terribly awkward. It's just there. It's low hanging fruit. And maybe by the end of the day, you just feel like you need that. Another one is just easy access mindlessness, brain numbingness, that need to just unwind at the end of the day. We talk about this a ton inside of my membership community, How to Glow. Different people just like, how do you deal with that overload? At the end of the day, all you want to do is to just space out. I'm going to talk about that piece a little bit more later, but I want to acknowledge that that's real for a lot of people. This is related, but a little bit different, which is discomfort with quiet, aloneness, and your own thoughts. For a lot of people, that is it's unfamiliar territory. And the way I want you to think about it is that we have to learn to live with our brain. Our brains are with us wherever we go. And the more healthy relationship I can develop with my own brain, my own way of thinking, my own way of talking to myself internally, the better my entire life is going to be, because that colors everything that I experience and everything that I'm able to do throughout my life. So, yes, it's uncomfortable in the beginning. But if the way you talk to yourself, let's just use that as an example, is really negative, and so you want to be on your phone at night because you know you're just going to be beating yourself up, or you're going to be thinking negative thoughts about your life, or whatever your version is, being on your phone doesn't make them go away. It's just kicking the tire, kicking, what is it? Kicking the tire down the road? I don't know what you call it. No, those are two different things. Kicking the stone down the road. You're delaying dealing with the problem. You're not dealing with it. You're pushing off dealing with it. So those thoughts are still there. When you allow yourself to have those thoughts and you can get to a place of awareness and learning to manage them, and please let me help you with that. That is all the work that we're doing inside of the How to Glow community. The last one, and most important to mention here, is discomfort with your husband. And it might not feel like discomfort, like, oh, I don't know, like super obvious, but it might just be the little bit of vulnerability it requires for the two of you to just be there and to not know what's going to come up and to not know how you're going to discuss your day, to not know if you're going to feel super connected or not. That level of vulnerability can be enough for somebody to just decide they'd rather just be on their phone. For most of these, it's the same answer, which is we have to create space first before we find the solution. What I think the distraction culture has created more than anything is a lack of space to experience the discomfort or the boredom or the frustration that otherwise would lead to solutions, that would lead to us getting creative, solving for the problem. When we don't have the space, we don't truly experience what's going wrong for us, what we want to improve upon. And then, of course, we then don't solve for it because we're not really even experiencing it. It's like, my husband and I, when we speak to seminaries all the time, and a lot of what we talk about is your mission in this world. And most of these girls don't know what their mission in this world is, but they have to be bored first to figure it out. They have to be bothered first to figure it out. They have to look around the world and say, what needs fixing? What do I care about? What am I passionate about? And if the distraction, the constant distraction is keeping them from being able to sit with that, they're not going to get in the game in the first place. They're not going to get down that path in the first place. Right. And it's the same for us in these, maybe not our great big life mission, but in these little micro journeys that we're on, the micro journey of my relationship with my husband, my parenting, the way I'm dealing with work, how I'm running my home, my religious, a spiritual experience. These little journeys, big journeys, but these individual journeys that are going on for us, we have to be alone with some space to think and to experience where we are for us to ever move out of it. So I'm a huge proponent of space, even though it's uncomfortable. I think it's the biggest gift that we can give ourselves. And I want you to know that just taking tiny steps in this makes a huge impact. So if you're super addicted to being on your phone at night, but you say to yourself, I could totally be on my phone, but only after 5 minutes of space, 5 minutes of quiet, 5 minutes of just letting my head clear, that is a huge step. Do not minimize a step like that. So the other thing that I want to talk about today is, what about if he's the one that's on his phone? Like, you've tried to put away your phone. He didn't put away his phone. So probably you took back out your phone, right? So he's the one on his phone and you're listening to this and you're like, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. That's what I've been trying to tell my husband, or that's what I wish I could tell my husband. So here's what I want you to know to consider how you want to deal with that. Number one, him being on his phone at bedtime is not an active rejection of you. It's so easy for us to see it that way. We don't feel like we're actively rejecting the other person when we're on our phone most of the time, maybe sometimes, but most of the time we're just on our phone. We're just spacing out. We're just overwhelmed. We're just taking some low hanging fruit of an easy way to relax and unwind at the end of a day. He's probably doing something really similar, not actively rejecting you. So if he's on his phone and you're feeling hurt, I want you to step back and think like, why am I making this hurtful? I don't have to like him being on his phone, but when I make it hurtful, then I'm going to become defensive. And then it's going to be really hard to have a proactive conversation. Also, he likely has all the same human tendencies that you do, maybe more, maybe less for sure, in sometimes other areas. So maybe you're not really the type to space out, zone out, be on your phone. You don't play video games, whatever, but you've got your thing. You know, you have your thing. We all have our thing. So just remembering like that's not where I struggle, but I do struggle here. So you know what? I get it. When you are able to just drop the like, really, you play video games. I don't play video games. Therefore, we can't connect. We have to just broaden it a little bit and just realize, like, wait, you're a human. You make some bad choices sometimes. I'm a human. I make my bad choices sometimes. Okay, I get it. Okay, we've got some common ground. Now we can begin that conversation. Not that we should start the conversation with you're making bad choices, but do you hear what I'm saying? It just loosens the whole thing up for us. The other thing I want to say, just to be fair, is it's not necessarily something he wants to tackle now. If you're anything like me, you can get like a bee in your bonnet and you get these ideas and you're like, I think today is the day we're going to completely declutter and be minimalists. And then, like my husband like might not be on the same page with that, right? So I have to remind myself anytime that I kind of want to like start a new thing, he might have his own plan for kind of how he's doing things and what he wants to do. So it might be that right now you really do want to get your phone out of your bedroom. I think you should. I think the fact that this episode came out and you just listened to it right now is a sign that you should get your phone out of your bedroom, unless you're like Katsala. Okay. But that doesn't mean that it is for him. Okay. That doesn't mean that you don't say anything. That doesn't mean that you can't have a conversation about it. But just remembering like he's an adult, right? And he gets to kind of decide what he's going to tackle and when. So how do we deal with this? How do we deal with it if, let's say, he's not interested, but you are really, interested in this idea of getting the phone out of the bedroom? One of my favorite principles for anything to do with marriage is go first. Anytime you see your husband, he should be doing more of this. He should be making minion. He should be working harder at work. He should be more present with the kids. Go first. I'm telling you, this has been life changing for me. Just those two words. Go first. I want my husband to work harder on his davening. So I will up level my davening. I will do what's I'm not going to start going to Minyan, right? But I will make sure that I'm taking more time. Maybe I'll add something to my davening. Worst case scenario, I'm davening better now. But what I am doing is I'm saying, what's the real value? Davening is a value for me in my relationship. So let me live that. Let me make that happen. Presence with the children is a value. So now I'm living it. There is nothing to lose, right? I'm only creating more of what I value in my relationship. Where people really get stuck is that they'll do the thing so that he'll change. Let me start davening more. And now he's going to start going to Minyan magically. Let me be more conscious with the kids. Then he's going to suddenly be the kind of parent that I want him to be. Let me get my phone out of the bedroom. Now he's for sure going to do it. That is setting yourself up for so much frustration. So I want to say, if this is speaking to you, go first, but do it for you. Do it for you. Don't do it because you're trying to treat your husband like a little marionette. Like, I'm going to push this button, then he'll do this. We don't work that way. He's a human, right? But also because each of these things, every time we take a step, every time we go first or we grow, we shift the dynamic. And I think that will only ever help if we're shifting the dynamic in a bid for the relationship, in a bid for showing up as a better version of ourselves. It can only ever help. And finally, of course, you can ask. You can have that conversation. I just suggest that you make sure you work through the other stuff first. Having the conversation when you feel personally offended that he's on his phone is not going to be the same as when you're coming at it as like, here's his thing. I don't know if he's interested, but I'd love to offer this opportunity for us to try to connect more. All right. So that is my rant for you about getting your phone out of your bedroom. If you find that you have other challenges with this, I want to hear from you. Okay. So email me, Kayla@KaylaLevin.com. I want to hear what else is hard for you about getting your phone out of your bedroom. Atsala, you still have permission, and all you other, urgent care workers, doulas and stuff. And if you're really struggling with this being alone time or the discomfort, I want to tell you that this is what I do day in, day out. This is what I help people with. So come into KaylaLevin.com/coaching. I'll link it in the show notes. Come in and get coaching with me so I can help you with this. And we can just get to the other side, because this isn't something to sit with. This is something that will have an impact on every part of your life. All right. Have an amazing week, everyone. Bye-bye. Hey there, Kayla here. If you've been loving the podcast, I want to invite you into my monthly coaching program, How to Glow. We take all the work here and go much deeper into our expectations of our husbands, our understanding of our husbands, ourselves, by the way, our intimate lives. We even extend it out to anything else you want coaching on: your parenting, your finances, your health. Get ongoing support, live weekly coaching, and access to my best courses for only $49 a month. I would love to coach you inside. Registration is open now. Sign up at KaylaLevin.com/coaching. Isn't this the best time to start?